I am going to speak on Holy Mother. The story of Holy Mother, or the life of her story, has been written beautifully by many authors. And so I will not recount her life story. I will first give you my own experiences that I had with her. I had the blessed fortune to meet her many times in my life. And also, I shall relate to you what I have heard directly from the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. And you will find how they looked upon her, and also some stories that I've heard from her attendant, a brother disciple of mine. Let me first tell you my own experiences with her. At Bishnupur, that is our hometown, that is my hometown at the time, she had no devotee at that time. So she was staying in an inn on the porch. And two friends, were going out for a walk, and I was only then 14 or 15 years old, and there was Radhu, her niece, was standing holding the holding one of the pillars. And of course, as young boys, she was only 12 and 13, as young boys, our eyes fell on her first. Well, this is normal. Then we saw a holy man seated, and around him surrounded by him, there were many women seated there. So as both of us were going for a walk, we criticized this holy man. Look at the holy man surrounded by women. And as a result, what happened to me, see? Then we came back from our walk. It was a little dark. And this young man was to go in one direction to his own home, and I was to go in another direction to my home. But something drew me back. So instead of going towards my home, I came back. And I bowed down to this holy man, and he said, "Will you see Holy Mother?" I got excited because I read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at that time. You see, as a young boy, I was an atheist. And it is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna that attracted me. But again, as I read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Naren and Rakhal, these two names attracted me. Of course, Naren was not living, so I had Rakhal in my mind. Anyway, As I bowed down to this holy man, he said, "Will you see Holy Mother?" I said, "Holy Mother, you mean Paramahansa's wife?" "Yes." Then she was right there. And so I touched her feet, I mean her toes. You see, we do that with our fingers. And she kissed me like our mother's kiss. Take the fingers in our fingers here on the chin, and then she puts it on her lips. And then she said, "Son, haven't I seen you before?" I said, "No, Mother, I have not seen you." But of course, mothers recognize their children, but children, unfortunately, do not recognize the mother, who is the mother of the universe. While she would be coming to Calcutta, not that I had great devotion for her, but I used to go, once a week they would allow men to come and touch the toes of her touch her toes. And she would remain veiled. And so I used to go and touch the toes. And I used to go because I'd get a wonderful sensation, like an electric shock every time I touched. And then later I learned that way she transmitted spiritual power. But I didn't know, but just for that sensation, because afterwards I'd feel a soothing influence in my whole body. So just for that I used to go once a week. And she used to come and live in Calcutta for 6 months as a general rule, and then go back to Jairambati for 6 months. One time, another friend of mine and I, this friend of mine became also a Swami of our order. But unfortunately, he died earlier. If he had lived today, I am sure he would have been the president of our order. But anyway, I used to call him Paresh. Paresh and I together came to Bishnupur. In our home we stayed, and then we hired a bullock cart. And we travelled, of course, sleeping on the bullock cart all night. And then in the morning, or it was rather late that we arrived. And first we went to Kualpada. That's where Holy Mother used to come and stay occasionally. And in Kualpada is the Dhobi house. There is a picture of Holy Mother and Sri Ramakrishna, and we are told that that is the picture that Holy Mother herself worshipped. You see, Sri Ramakrishna himself worshipped his own picture and said, someday this will be worshipped everywhere, in every home in the world. And at one time in my life, I dreamt. I always carried a picture of Holy Mother. I had a friend in the Udbodhan office at that time who gave me that picture. Generally, they did not sell at that time. And I carried that picture all my life. And she told in a vision that I see many in America placing my picture on the left of Thakur, Master. And I think I was the first one who did that. And that is the picture still there. Oh yes, as we went to our house, we were late to arrive. And she told her attendant, Rash Bihari, I think his name was, I forgot his name, Swami name. I used to call him Rash Bihari Dada. You know, he recorded his teachings with the life of Holy Mother. Those were recorded by him. And from him we learned that Holy Mother told him that 2 of Rakal's sons are coming. Keep some food, save some food for them. We did not write to her anything, nor there was any telephone, but she knew. And then, like a mother, she served us food on leaf plates. And she sat by us and asked us if we like this food, just as our mother does. If we like this, then should give more. So that way she fed us. And I remember still now that I have never eaten such food in my life. It was like nectar. I still remember that. And then after finishing, we were going to fold the leaves to throw them out. And then mother said, "What are you doing? Oh, we can't leave these leaf plates here. We ate in those." Then she said, "But what would you have done if your mother had been present?" So we left them there. While we were there, she initiated one young man, and in this connection, let me point out that when we left her, she stood by the door and kissed us. And as far as she could see, she kept on looking at us. This was the custom that she had. with everybody that used to go to her. And then, while we were there, a young man was initiated. And as we came back, we saw that he was very sick and he was dying. And at the moment of death, he sat straight and chanted the mantra that Holy Mother gave to her. So it was a wonderful death from that standpoint. Then again, while we were students in Calcutta, I thought I would not be speaking for a long time, but time goes away. While we were students in Calcutta, they gave word to us that Mother will be coming to Belur Math and they need volunteers. So many of our college boys went and we stood in rows at the Belur Math. It's not the present big monastery, but we had very little room there, not a large place. And then Holy Mother was carried in palanquin up to the gate, and then they had a chair prepared for her, and 4 disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Maharaj, Swami Prabhavananda, Swami Sarada, Swami Premananda, and Swami Shivananda. They carried her. And then Maharaj gave order that nobody should bow down before before Mother at that time. But we saw Khoka Maharaj, Swami Subodhananda, he just rolled on the ground. And then Maharaj said, Who is that? Who is that? Then of course Khoka Maharaj in the meantime disappeared. And so she was carried by these 4 Swamis upstairs to the shrine room, and of course I believe she was worshipped at that time by these disciples. One thing I know, that while she was living, she was worshipped by hundreds and thousands of people as a living goddess. Here I remember a funny story. There was a Brahmin who came to her and began ritualistic worship before her. And it was a hot day, and Holy Mother was just perspiring and with her veil all covered up. And then Golapma, she saw him and dragged him out and said to him, Do you think it's a clay image? Then another very interesting story I know. I don't know if these are published at all. I have no idea. In the Udbodhan office, while Holy Mother was there, you see, there was a place downstairs. That was the Udbodhan office. And upstairs was the place for Holy Mother. There was a bedstead. And then on the other side of the bedstead, there was a shrine. And she stayed in the shrine during that time. And So as I said, oh yes, there is this story I was going to tell, I forgot. There was one holy man who came. He did not belong to our order, but he came and went and prostrated before Holy Mother. And then he came and sat at the Udbodhana office downstairs. And Mother sent 3 fruits to this holy man. But he was keeping silent. And they said, go away now, go away now. He would not listen to anybody. He sat straight there. He would not move. Then about an hour later, Holy Mother sent another fruit. And as he received that fruit, he began to dance in joy, saying, at long last, Mother gave me liberation. You see, three fruits, dharma, artha, kam. Dharma, merit. Artha, fortune. Kama, what you desire you get. But moksha is liberation. So, when Mother gave him 3 fruits, he held them but would not move until she sent another fruit. While living on earth, I saw him only once more when I became a monk, and 3 of us were going to Mayabati, and Maharaj said to us, go and take the blessings of Holy Mother. So we went, and that time she did not have any veil, and she offered us, she kissed of course, as usual, and then she offered us one flower to each one. I don't know what the others did, but when the flower dried up, I threw away. Now, I'll tell you how Swamiji, Maharaj, and Swami Yogananda, who was her attendant, how they would touch her feet. Swamiji would dip himself in the Ganges 6-7 times. He thought he was not pure enough to touch her feet. But you see, we didn't know. We went under any condition. And then only he would go and touch her feet. And Maharaj would go and just like a little boy has done something wrong and afraid to approach Mother. And so he would compose himself first. Hello Radhi, how are you? And then would go and bow down to Maharaj and would try to come away. Then, but Mother would say, Rakhal, sit down. And Swami Yogananda was her attendant. He would not even touch her feet. Where she would stand, there she would take the dust after she left. Of course, all this happened after Thakur passed away. And perhaps you know this story, how when he passed away, Mother wept, saying, "Oh Mother, why did you leave me alone?" And then she was going to take the dress of a widow. what relationship they had. She called him mother and he called her mother. And so she, because she had to live in a village, she used white cloth, but with a red border. You see, they are not allowed to use red border. And also vermilion here. But I learned that she used to put vermilion here so that it would not be noticeable. Because she knew that he was not dead. You know that story. Thakur said to her, "Oh, I am not dead. Just this room and that room, that's all." And she saw equally upon all people. She made no difference between sinner or saint. At one time, while Thakur was living, Thakur asked 3 disciples of his who are known as Sri Ramakrishna's disciples, but they were asked to take initiation from Holy Mother. But later, after the passing away of Holy Sri Ramakrishna, when she initiated anybody, in the beginning one of the disciples claimed to be a disciple of the same generation. Then Swami said, no, he belonged to the other generation. So Holy Mother made this remark, that Thakur selected his disciples, but she is sending me like ants in rows. And she initiated everyone that came to him. One time, there was a Muslim robber, we call dacoit, and she had great respect and reverence for Holy Mother, and her whole life changed. And when the women of the household were offering him food, he used to bring many fruits for Mother. And when he was given food, the women in the family, they were throwing food at him. She got mad and said, "What is this? He is as much my child as Swami Saradananda." And she herself took the plate away and served him food. There is a very interesting story in this connection, I remember. There was a drunken man, and Swami Saradananda never allowed him to go and see Holy Mother, because he did not know how she would behave. And he remained drunk almost all the time. So at 12 o'clock midnight, he would come and roll on the ground near the Udbodhan, where Holy Mother lived upstairs, and sing a song to this effect: "Cherish my precious Mother Shyama, tenderly within, O mind. May you and I alone behold her, letting no one else intrude. And then he would add a line, let not the rascal Sharat intrude. And as you'd sing that song, Holy Mother suddenly would open the door and come out and bless him. She disobeyed Sri Ramakrishna at one time. There was a woman of ill character, and she wanted to offer food to Sri Ramakrishna. And so Holy Mother gave her, and she carried it, and Holy Mother also followed her. Then Sri Ramakrishna could not touch that food. And Sri Ramakrishna scolded her. He said, no, you have to take that food. Whoever calls me mother, he is my son or she is my daughter. You have to eat that. And he had to. As I said, she saw no sinner, no saint. Swami Turiyananda, I have heard him say that mother never comes down from her throat center. That is, she lived. In other words, she lived in Bhava Samadhi or Samadhi all the time, at the same time carrying on the work. See the power of mother. There was the nephew of Sri Ramakrishna, Shibuda. I met him. Both Ramlal Dada and Shibuda. Shibuda was the younger brother. And she was very much devoted to Holy Mother. One time, Holy Mother was going to Kamarpukur. And Shibuda was carrying her clothing and what things she requires. And then suddenly Shibuda turned towards her and said, Auntie, tell me who you are. Oh Shibu, what are you doing? What are you saying? I am your auntie. Well, if you are my auntie only, here is your bag. You carry it yourself. Then she said, no, I am Mother Kali. Then he carried. Another time, he comes and wanted to stay there for 3 nights. And mother said, how is that? What about the worship of the deities? Then he said, oh, I finished for 3 days and 3 nights. That won't do. You have to offer every day in time. Go back. All right, auntie, but tell me who you are. Then again she said, I am Mother Kali. And so he chanted the verses, bowing down to Mother. Oh yes, there are. Well, if you bear with me, I'll continue. While she was in Madras, Swami Ramakrishnananda took her to southern India. And there was a woman who I believe was a disciple of Maharaj. And this woman did not know any language but Tamil, and Holy Mother only Bengali. But they would talk together and understand each other for an hour or so. Then when she came to Bangalore, another monastery, she went out for a ride. Then as she came back, there were about 1,000 people gathered there. And so Mother looked at them and said, "I wish I could speak your language." They said, "No, Mother, I don't want to. We don't want to hear you speak. We just want to have a darshan." And how she received the Western disciples of Swamiji is something. They are given sweets on a plate, and Swamiji was standing, and these disciples were taking their food. And suddenly Holy Mother stooped down and took one of the sweets. Even that shocked Swamiji. During her Mahasamadhi, all Thakur's disciples were present there. Her disciples were not allowed to come at that time, excepting her attendant. And 3 days before she passed away, she was eating puffed rice mixed with mustard oil and green onions and green chilies. That's the favorite food of our women in that district. You see, we come from that same district. She was very sick and she was eating that. And so Swami Saradananda, Golabma went and told Swami Saradananda. And Swami Saradananda came and bowed down to her and said, "My son, what can I do for you?" And she was hiding that like that. Like a little girl. Then Swami Saradananda said, "I want that." So she gave it to him. And then, after 3 days, she passed away. That made Swami Saradananda feel very bad. Oh yes, in this connection I forgot to mention. Swami Saradananda was asked, "Why is it that all you disciples are present, only Maharaj is not present?" And Swami Saradananda said, "Maharaj is not like us. You see, Maharaj had the power to stay wherever he was and yet come and visit anybody. And so he visited her. Mother knew. And that's why Swami Saradananda also knew. So he said, he is not like one of us. And then exactly at the time of her death, he asked Swami Nirbananda, Sujji Maharaj, "Sujji, Mother just left her body." And at that time, Holy Mother's beauty came out. While living, that beauty was not there, because people might look at her with lustful eyes and that would harm them. And so the real beauty came out when when she passed away. Now Swami Saradananda felt very bad that she took away that plate. So when Maharaj came to Calcutta, Swami Sarada told that story and said, Maharaj, you have to eat this through you. She will let her eat through your mouth. Then he prepared that same thing, and Maharaj in an ecstatic state took that. I shall quote here some of Holy Mother's teachings. If one loves the Lord, he becomes steady in meditation, and he clearly sees him in his own heart and hears his voice. God is our very own. It is the eternal relationship. Whether we are sinner or saint, he is our very own. And this is an eternal relationship. Always remember this. One realizes him in proportion to the intensity of one's love for him. And our last teaching was, I tell you one thing, if you want peace of mind, do not find fault in others. No one is a stranger. My child, the whole world is your own. Maharaj at one time told me that nobody can really understand Holy Mother unless she reveals herself to one. And she did reveal herself to me while I had been here. Will you have this patience to listen to what Swami Prabhavananda told about her? If you're impatient to go, then of course. He wrote to one disciple, who can really understand the greatness of Holy Mother? True it is, there have been great holy men in past ages, such as Sita, Savitri, Sri Radha. You have heard of these great ones, but in this present age, before our very eyes, we see Holy Mother surpass them, all by her exemplary life. She is difficult to understand because she keeps her superhuman powers hidden. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we have seen these powers expressed many times during the day. He would go into ecstasy and samadhi. We saw him always God intoxicated. But Mother holds these powers suppressed within herself. How much greater her superhuman power must be. Hail Mother, Hail Mother, Hail Mother, the embodiment of Shakti, the Divine Mother. Don't you see how many people are coming to her to receive her grace? People who are so wicked, we are unable to help them, we send to Mother, and she holds them on her lap, as it were, and wipes out all their weaknesses. She is the embodiment of infinite power. She has boundless grace toward all. When then shall we say we have seen such grace toward all, even from Thakur? He was selective in accepting disciples. Once he told Keshav Sen, "You are having troubles in your organization because through lack of discrimination you allow black sheep into your fold." Thakur used to accept disciples after testing them in many ways. He did not even spare Swamiji. He was versed in physiognomy, and so he used to examine the shape of his disciples' eyes, hands, feet, and so forth. He knew different ways to judge if one were truly a spiritual aspirant. We have noticed that if any person of impure character carried food to him, he could see the character of the person and from a distance, and he would remark, "This is not food but dirt." He could not bear the atmosphere of worldly people. And now in Holy Mother, what do we see? She is indeed performing miracles, sheer miracles. She gives refuge to all. She eats food offered by anybody, and she digests it. Hail Mother, Hail Mother. Don't you people realize that our Mother, who is the Empress of the universe, has assumed the mask of a poor woman, washing dishes, husking paddy, and performing all sorts of tasks. Mother lives at Jairambati and labors hard to teach the householder devotees their duties. She has infinite patience and unbounded grace, and above all, how completely self-effacing she is. Look at her life. Try to understand her. You are all children of Holy Mother. Try to be worthy of being her children. Then you will find fulfillment. Just to see her and accept her prasad, that is not enough. Be absorbed in contemplation of her. If you can't do that, what good are you? Can't you see the effects of thirst for worldly pleasures and enjoyments? People are burning with the mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. You are Mother's children. Watch and learn. Know that worldly pleasures end in ashes. What great responsibilities are yours. People of the world must learn to see how frustrated they can become in running after worldliness. At last, let them learn to turn toward God and become united with Him. Mother has shown you the path. She is the example before your very eyes. Know that you have touched the philosopher's stone and have turned into gold. Now it is your duty to turn others into gold. Try to attain that power of spirituality. Be the worthy children of Mother. Always and forever remember that unbounded grace of Mother in happiness or misery, in good or bad times, in wars and famines. Feet that feel that boundless grace of the merciful Mother. Hail Mother, Hail Mother. Premananda. Well, it's just 12, so. Oh yes, I should say in this connection, because they are taking collection. Sri Ramakrishna could not touch any money. But Holy Mother, whenever any money would come to her, she would touch on her forehead, because that is Mother Lakshmi. And that's how we are fed.
With loving arms you tenderly embrace those who sought your love.